Okay. So Brian said correctly that ZOS, right, Brian? ZOS database and what?
DB2, yeah, DB2
DB2
on
ZOS.
yes,
It's
is
the
not supported by Upgrade Factory on
yeah.
premise. That's the only one. Everything
Okay.
else is supported.
I, so while you don't have the Chat GPT or Cohere interface, which types all these commands for ZOS upgrades. I, I, okay, so yeah, the upgrade factory on-prem, if we continue with where we stopped, is now part of Siebel on-prem, as it says on the tin. And the very good thing about this is that it does away with the dependency on Siebel tools or a Windows machine. So you can run it on Linux, AIX, on databases that are supported, as Brian said, and uses command line options only, such as siebdev CLI, and it uses Siebel web tools along the journey. So at one point in time, there's an enterprise started up, and you launch the Siebel web tools object manager to do the conflict analysis and conflict confirmation. So it's really something. It really speeds up the process and makes it easier, at least those, let's say, first troublesome steps of upgrading a development environment. That is the only environment supported, development environments, not for test and production. Again, Brian, please do correct me if I'm wrong here.
Yeah, it's only to replace the merge IRM or upgrade. It's that portion, and then the conflict resolution and so on. So it only applies to development.
Yeah.
There is no there's no merge for the other environment, so you just have to run the normal process for those.
The regular test production upgrade. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Of course, it's an upgrade facility, so it's only interesting, let's say, to someone who is still on IP16 or earlier, down to Siebel 8. If you're already on IP17 or higher, you do an update. You don't do an upgrade. We always preach that, and that's not what it does. And
we appreciate, by the way, because there's an important distinction there.
Yes. So speaking of the upgrade factory, back in 23.6 when it came out, I published a training on the Siebel Hub Learning Experience module, and this module has been updated, so to speak, or upgraded to include the on-prem upgrade factory. Okay, there's a typo there. Yeah, here's the information about the course module that we have. In case anyone is interested watching this video or live, there is training available to understand how this works, how this fits into your upgrade project. And speaking of upgrade, for an upgrade, you need to install Siebel with the MDE. And for an update, you also use the MDE. And the update installer, it had a particular habit of, well, recreating the Windows services for Tomcat. We all know that. And when those services got recreated, all the administrative settings like the memory pool was set back to default, which something I complained very loudly on recent Siebel Fridays repeatedly. And now with 23.9, the MDE no longer has this annoying habit, which is truly great. And I tried it and it works. So again, maybe Brian can chime in here. The main Win process is now stopped automatically on Linux. The customizations on either file-based or Windows registry-based are retained. So I'm not sure if that includes all the files or just explicitly setenv and web XML, because it doesn't mention server XML, but those, I think server XML was always safe to customize.
Yeah, we've always left server XML alone because it's got passwords and stuff in it. We can't ever overwrite that.
That got merged in a way.
Right. We would add an example of when we will, I know we will, touch server XML is that we're going to change the default encryption and which ciphers we support
Yes.
for security reasons. So, but we would still retain any other customizations in that file. We would just go, when we do this, we will go in and just remove the ciphers that are no longer considered safe by the world,
Yeah.
So that's a case where we would touch server XML, but we always merge our changes or if you have other stuff in there that's unrelated to the out of the box stuff, then we wouldn't touch it.
And now that merge extends, so to speak, to setenv files and web XML.
Yes, that is the intention. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
If anyone notices a bug, of course, let us know.
Yeah. I can confirm that the Windows settings, the registry stuff is retained. Right. At least the memory pool settings. That's my pet peeve.
Yeah, no, that Alex, I took your complaint to heart and made sure that happened.
Okay, that is great.
The other thing, I don't remember if it's 23.9 or if we already released it, but do you have a slide on the changes to the user interface, or was that in 23.7, where we no longer restart the services by default?
Yeah, that was in 23.7. The option.
Oh, okay. The option. I just didn't remember it.
The checkbox, yeah, where you can during MDE update installation, you can opt to have the services restarted or not.
Yeah. Okay. That's great.
Yeah. Okay, so
that was another one I was quite insistent about because it drove me nuts.
Yeah, it's really like the Siebel server starting up when post-install database was running. So
it's still running, makes no sense.
Yeah, that's history now. Okay, so yeah, and the other area of enhancement 23.9 is order management. So in 22.12, there was a new view introduced through repository upgrade that multiple product configurations can be done in the same view. And I get from the bookshelf information that there is a button save all configurations, and now there's a check if configurations are incomplete, and an alert is displayed, and it's implemented as an OpenUI in OpenUI code, so you can extend or customize it through client PM user props. That's my state of information. I haven't seen this in the wild yet. And the other order management related enhancement is the ability to share profile attributes, something that every eScript developer is well aware of. People work a lot with profile attributes, and now those or a special set of profile attributes can be declared through scripting and then be shared between the object manager that initializes a product configuration and the remote object instance. That is when this is used, when the remote object configurator is used. So again, this is something you can read up in the product administration guide in Bookshelf, and it might make the life of some people easier. It's a very special enhancement there. And also there is a new SDK for OCI available. It's actually shipped with Tomcat and as a zip file. And if you want to use the advanced SDK options as opposed to the old SDK, especially when you include the modern AI services with OCI, then you can kind of update manually by unzipping the jars and extract the jars to the right place. Also adjusting your internal Tomcat heap settings to the 4 GB minimum that is recommended. That's explicitly mentioned in the Bookshelf guide. So in any case, if you're using the OCI SDK, you don't have to get the 3.2.2 yourself. It's already on your Tomcat. Speaking of OCI AI services, we also have a module there on the Siebel 23 workshop. It's also available as a separate module. All the links will be in the description of the video. And this is a module to learn all about the out-of-the-box and custom integration with OCI AI services. That was introduced in 22.10. And another documentation update in 23.9 was the now complete documentation, so to speak, of that stealth business service that we discussed so often in Siebel Fridays. It came up 2 years ago when people were reporting they can't see it. It's called Siebel XSL to XML converter. And the reason why people are interested is neither XSL or XML conversion is actually JSON to property set conversion. So that's the business service behind the outbound REST API. It does what it does not say on the package. It converts property sets to JSON. And if you don't see it in your repository, it's probably you have not done a repository upgrade recently, because that would include it, or you did your upgrade very early before 20.9. But still, you can produce your own business service based on the C++ and Java classes that are documented. And there are two methods, JSON to PS, JSON to property set, which is fairly straightforward to use. Just pass in a JSON string in the value, and you get a property set representing that JSON. So that works fairly well. Many people, including me, have then tried the opposite, property set to JSON, like just running it in reverse. And very often you get error messages. If the property set is a bit more, let's say, nested and complicated, then you get error messages. And there was no real documentation. Now that changed. And to celebrate that occasion, I've also recorded a video, which is currently visible to silver and gold members on the Siebel Hub. So it's early bird access. And that shows how to use that business service or that class of business service correctly in both directions. So very good that this is now documented in the EAI guide. And yeah, the Oracle Analytics server, the on-prem Siebel Analytics successor, is now in version 7.0, also known as 2023, which is what is used in the documentation. So I haven't found confirmation that this is actually the same version, but I'm very confident that it is. And that, of course, comes with Oracle Analytics Publisher. And that's interesting for anyone who uses either the Siebel to Analytics or Siebel to Publisher integration, the Siebel reporting, if they want to upgrade analytics to the latest version that is now certified with Siebel 23. So 23.1 and higher, I guess. That's what it says.
And it is not a pretty installation. It is very complex.
The Publisher 7.0?
Yeah. Yeah. I was trying 6.4 for the last 5 months with no success.
Oh, boy. So, okay, but
So, I'm going to try 7.0 and see if I get better luck with it.
Sorry, who was speaking?
Nick was.
It's your favorite pain in the butt.
Hey, Nick, you're good at finding stuff for us.
I know.
Have you had a chance to talk to Mudid or someone on his team about these issues? Or
I've had quite a few people working with me on it for the last 5 months.
okay. But I mean, within development or just support?
Just support. I don't know if I got any development yet.
Okay. I mean, if you're continuing to struggle, I can maybe hook you up.
Yeah, I just closed the last 2 SRs because I'm in the middle of going to a new Red Hat 8, so I'm gonna have to start from scratch anyway. So
okay. Well, when you get back around to it, if you need help, reach out to me by email and I'll see if I can hook you up.
yeah, because the online documentation still doesn't talk to 6.4 or definitely not 7. So
Okay, so hope this gets sorted out, yeah.
Yep. If
Uh,
so, I'll give you some documents, y'all.
okay. All right. So yeah, that's all about, and there is a lot about 23.9. And thanks for your patience again for yeah, with those hackers. So yeah, I was planning on having a Cloud World update, but yeah, the person who wanted to give that update is not here. But I just wanted to talk about Cloud World in general a little bit. So let me just put up that link here. Be right back with the sharing. Okay, so this is a link. Well, I read up on not being able to travel like so many of you to Cloud World, but reading up and following Cloud World last week was, of course, a great experience. And I got a lot of reports from people who were there that it was great vibes, very positive vibes, a lot of people attending. And of course, the main announcements from Larry Ellison were not about the latest Siebel CRM version, but of course, Oracle Cloud and of course, generative AI, which is now the big buzzword in our industry. So this article here, I will share the link in the chat. I'm doing it right now. It will also be in the description. This article here summarizes the key highlights very nicely. So, and what's the takeaway for Siebel customers? That's the discussion I want to kind of start here. The takeaway for Siebel customers from Oracle's latest cloud-related or AI-related enhancements. And I think we can take away quite a lot if you're either starting or already have Siebel workloads or any workloads in Oracle Cloud. Of course, it's always good to hear that there are more data centers, better GPUs, and yeah, improvements in general. So there's a lot about that. And then, of course, there's Oracle Database 23 well, not 23C, which is now generally available, as it says here. I think it's already generally available on the cloud. Not sure if it's available as a download, but there is a free developer version, and that has, again, I'm not a DBA or database guy, but at least for the layman in me, it has a lot of very interesting enhancements as to JSON duality views, so you can store data as JSON and query it with SQL and the other way around. Of course, for Siebel customers, the big question is probably when will it be supported or certified with Siebel? I'm not sure if there is any answer to that question right now, but if there is, of course, happy to hear.
As always, I can't give you a date, but I'll give you some general guidance if you'd like, which is right now, something else we're working on is upgrading our compiler, which for various reasons is kind of become a necessity for us for using something fairly old.
So the C++ compiler.
Right. And so once we've done that, that will give us some new opportunities to do some things, one of which will be to start migrating to 64-bit. We're also going to remove our existing data direct driver and use the Oracle native ODBC driver. And that should allow us to more easily support a higher level Oracle client, which is what we actually certify now. Yeah, we don't certify databases anymore. We certify the ODBC driver, and then it's up to the vendor, in this case Oracle, of the ODBC driver to determine what database versions it works with.
Right.
So I don't know
right.
if anyone noticed that in our certification matrix, but we no longer list specific databases.
So
we just list the drivers.
So if I used a 19C driver which is certified, or that would play well with 23C. You can start using 23C.
If that driver is certified against 23C, then yes.
Okay.
But right now it's not, because we're still distributing the data direct driver.
Okay. So
it can't be replaced with the Oracle driver. It won't work.
Right.
We have to make some tweaks to our database connector code to make it work. So anyway, just FYI. So it's a couple of step process. We have to remove the data direct driver, which we'll do, and replace with the Oracle driver. Once we do that, then it should, if indeed 19C supports the 23C, then it would work. One thing I will point out, though, is some of the capabilities of the 23C database, will still not be really available to our customers, because we use a database primarily as storage. There's no logic in the database.
Right. Yeah.
So some things just don't kind of apply.
Sure. Okay, but I appreciate that very much. Thanks, Brian, for the openness and candid explanations here. So it's actually great to hear that, yes, there will be a 64-bit Siebel in the future. So looking forward
Someday.
to that. Yeah. So someday is the new soon. And yeah. So and while Brian was explaining, Juris posted several links in the chat, so do check them out. Thanks, Juris. And of course, the big elephant in the room, in every, let's say, board meeting room today in the Oracle headquarters or wherever on the planet, is AI, or more specific, machine learning, generative AI, where, of course, Oracle has to jump on the bandwagon, literally. And Oracle purchased a company called Cohere, not to be confused with Coherence, which was a different product. And so I haven't checked it out, but I've seen, and that's one announcement I would like to make, and maybe now's the time. If you want to learn more or see how generative AI can be integrated with Siebel CRM today, Juris has something to say. Sorry for jumping on you, Juris, but I see you have unmuted already.
Yeah, I mean, we do have this webinar coming up on Monday, actually.
On Monday, yes.
Monday.
Let me find the link.
I will put the link for registration, or just like for Zoom webinar right away. So it will start actually at the same time. I think all Siebel crowds are kind of accustomed to this time, thanks to Alex. So we kind of run it at the same time, but on Monday. Yeah, and I will kind of send both link to the registration page or directly to the Zoom webinar. And
Yes.
but like, just to kind of verify, I don't think Oracle bought Cohere, Alex. I think kind of there are multiple investors into Cohere, including Salesforce as well. But I think Cohere is just available on OCI, and it seems that it's sort of the only LLM which is available on OCI.
Okay, so
I don't know, like maybe
then I was misinformed. Yeah, so it's not an acquisition; it's more Cohere made available on OCI. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. In any case, I guess last time I tried to access it, it was still in beta, so you have to sign up for beta to get access to the Cohere part of OCI. So, but yeah, please follow the link. I pasted the link to your LinkedIn post, Juris. If you have any links to the registration page for your webinar, yeah, please make sure to check out the webinar next week on Monday already on how to integrate generative AI with Siebel. And there's sure a lot of potential there. I mean, had a discussion the other day that one thing, of course, is the sales or business perspective, helping salespeople, for example, generate documents, proposals, and whatnot. So that's the text generation capabilities that we all have experimented with in one way or another with ChatGPT and the likes. Another thing that struck me as being a programmer for 25 plus years is that this thing has consumed more or less all the documentation on programming languages, including Java, PowerShell, JavaScript, not necessarily Siebel eScript, but I know a guy who actually has produced eScript with Bing Chat, which is ChatGPT, I think, underneath, or a large language model, and it was working. So it's working code that you can use, that you can generate, and for the developers who have to write code, either let's say JavaScript or PowerShells or whatever, this is a game changer as well. It's at least aiding an experienced programmer in being faster in writing code where they are, well, out of the comfort zone. So my personal comfort zone ends, for example, at PowerShell. And sometimes I need a PowerShell script. And I admit my recent PowerShell scripts have all been generated by a large language model. And I tweak them, of course, but let's say 80, 90% is generated. And that's just the beginning of this. It's not yeah. So as they say, now follow this this place, this spot. Okay, so yeah, a few things, of course, to discuss and to think about for affecting the future of Siebel CRM, immediate or near future, for any Siebel CRM deployment that wants to stay up to date. And George Jacob has blessed us again, Richard especially, with sharing his wide and deep wisdom on all things tech and Siebel in a regular interview. So you find these interviews on the Siebel Hub YouTube channel. I just pasted the link, so do check it out, please. Richard Napier in conversation with George Jacob. Very good interview where George also talks about generative AI a lot. Speaking of the Siebel Hub YouTube channel, of course, you're regulars. No need to really point it out that it exists. And there's our mandatory almost monthly update video. And of course, the Siebel Friday videos will also be published here. And you might have noticed that the Siebel Hub has rebranded a little bit. We got ourselves a new logo and design. Sure you appreciate that. So it's still the Siebel Hub with a new logo. Also the web page, of course, got a little bit of an update. So logo update and design update. Okay, and one particular article on the Siebel Hub coming up right now. And in the chat is a reminder that actually in 2 weeks, yeah, October 10, there will be the first event, Oracle Applications Unlimited Day in Europe. So these are all locations in Europe, as you can see. So looking forward to seeing some of you there. Richard and I are planning to attend, not both of us, but sometimes both of us, every single event. So the Siebel Hub will be present there, and we make sure that it will be interesting and exciting, and we talk about it a lot already. So as you know, the Zurich event has been cancelled. So that, of course, would have been yesterday already. So next one is Milan on October 10th. And there is, of course, a registration page from Oracle, just making sure it's still up, and you have the link just in case you haven't registered.
Alex, I don't want to interrupt you, but also Brian and John are going to be at some of those events. So
Yes.
That's not guaranteed for me anyway. I still am waiting on travel approval, but I hope to be at many of these events.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that would be so great.
You have been approved.
What's that?
You have been approved. You are going to join us. So far, no. At least for Germany.
Okay, well, maybe it's in this morning's batch of email, but I have not seen an approval from my management yet.
Okay, so you get live updates on Siebel Friday on your terrible approvals. I mean,
yeah,
that's good. So yeah, it would be super cool to meet you, Brian, in Munich or any other locations. So yeah, if you're around the continent, then make sure to attend these Applications Unlimited days. They're full of information, and it's always good to meet like-minded people and partners. All right. So that's the reminder, of course, that this is happening soon. And yeah, on my notes, so we talked about the webinar with IdeaPort, and then I want to pick up on Jason Maxura's LinkedIn post. Just want to talk about it. Many of you have seen it probably on LinkedIn. The link is in the chat as well, where Jason gets a discussion going on a technical topic in the Siebel CRM Customer Connect group on LinkedIn. And in a nutshell, he talks about circuit breakers, circuit breaker logic. I confess I had to read up a little bit on what exactly he means. Yeah, I put some of my research links in my comment. And a circuit breaker means basically that you have a sort of monitoring of your connections or internal processes. And usually when something fails in a connection, you retry. And you retry once more and maybe 2 times more, and then you stop trying. But some connections are really hitting an error and not stopping. And that is where the circuit breaker comes in. So this is an interesting discussion to have, of course. And if you have anything to say or you have done something similar, please go to LinkedIn and chime in on the discussion. Or if you have anything here for the live Siebel Friday. And I think Jason not being here today, I'm checking the attendee list, but he's not here today. It's a great idea to actually put these architectural or development topics out there and put them into general discussion, because there's no silver bullet. Every deployment is different and every architecture is different depending on the customer who uses Siebel or other applications. So anything to say from your side, guys, about circuit breakers with Siebel?
This Nick, I kind of did something like that because we have a partner that is an eTMF partner.
Mm-hmm.
So they were down early on in our development cycle. They were just completely offline, and Siebel had no idea what to do with it. So we had to write a REST call to check to see if they're available before we process anything more in our system.
Okay, so you basically do a heartbeat call. Yep. Are you alive? And then you
we process accordingly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a kind of circuit breaker, I guess. Yeah.
It'd be nice to have a prettier one.
Yeah, like the electric ones we all have in our cabinets, which it's
That'd
really
be cool.
protect you from having a critical outage or damage to your equipment. Yeah. Okay, but that's an interesting topic, and as these topics kind of accumulate, there's also two topics that are so often discussed in trainings that I do or consulting that I do. And I want to put them to general discussion. One is the question of, well, basically, if you remember CFG merge, the utility that you could pass two Siebel files, and it generated a kind of input file to Server Manager to merge literally the one configuration into another, or migrate enterprise configurations. That basically died with IP17. And so the big question is, how do you, in IP17 and higher, compare or migrate or merge enterprise configurations? That is now, of course, exclusively stored in Zookeeper. So the export could be direct Zookeeper export, or using the Cloud Gateway REST API, or Server Manager spooling. So you get the data out somehow. But then you have to compare it. And I have put up a video a while ago on using WinMerge, manually comparing the output of, let's say, two enterprises. And then, of course, you have to manually generate the input file. So I wonder if this has been an issue. And of course, with all the migrations to cloud, Oracle has found that in itself being, of course, something to solve. And Oracle solved it in the SCM lift and shift process. There is actually, using the REST API of Cloud Gateway, all the enterprise configuration exported and subsequently compiled into YAML files, which are then used in the Cloud Manager architecture. But that, of course, is only if you use Siebel Cloud Manager. So if you're not using that, what's your take? What's your tool or tooling or approach to accomplish that task? So if you have already done it, we would be keen to learn. Or I will try and put that into a discussion, maybe on LinkedIn or on the Siebel Hub.
Yeah, hi everyone. Maybe if you remember the Siebel utility app, there are some features, and it is still under development, but there are some features where you can compare these things, and you can also use that one. It is also on the GitHub.
Yeah, of course, the Endo IT utility app. I was hoping, Endo, that you talk about it, because I thought about it, but is it capable? So you can, of course, you can connect it to two enterprises, correct?
Yes, you can create as many profiles as you want, and you can connect many enterprises.
And then also compare them.
Yeah, you have a compare feature between enterprise.
And it would work for an entire enterprise configuration. So down, to parameters and.
Yeah, well, yeah, there are also the enterprise parameters, server components parameters, and so on. So
yeah,
you can
named
compare.
subsystems.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, that's of course a great. And yeah, we have, of course, you were presenting the utility app a while ago on Siebel Friday. It's still on GitHub and under development. So yeah, that of course can help. Thanks, Erne. All right. So something that we might talk about in future Siebel Fridays.
Alex, this is Kerry. It's on our radar to address this with a utility out of the box.
Okay.
We have something on my Oracle support on how to use a Zookeeper export, but it's not doesn't have merging capabilities or comparison capabilities. It's really just exporting and then steps that you would have to do to manually do the rest of it. And we hope to provide something in the future that does similar to CF merge.
So CF merge will be revived and become ZK merge, or
yeah, I hope so.
Zookeeper merge. Yeah, okay, but that's good to hear, and good to hear that's on the radar, because that's really pops up a lot. Every time, literally, somebody sets up a new environment, wants to kind of have a copy of the old environment, right? And another evergreen, so to speak, the final one for today, I will bring your attention to is the browser tab closing. So the browser or tab closing. The users, be they trained or not, when they're done with the Siebel session, they just close the browser like everybody else, or they just close the tab, and that does not close the Siebel session. That is, of course, something that is, since OpenUI started, it is not possible to actually capture that event. I tried hard one time in one project. Came up with a few solutions which are all around session management, but there's no real technical solution, in at least to my knowledge, to capture the event that the browser is closing or the tab is closing, and then rapidly send off a command to log off the session. But yeah, how do you tackle this specific problem in your project?
Actually, that's a
I've
good
also
one.
looked into it over the years. I've never found a way to do it either. It's once the browser's closing, it's too late.
It's literally too late. Yeah. Himanshu, you had something?
Yeah, Alex and Brian, it's on this one. So if the session is open and if someone is trying to shut down that particular object manager, is it going to take longer? Well, let's say I'm just extrapolating it to different one. So thoughts on that? But I think, then it's too late, means browser closing. So should we just ask the browser makers to have some event that should be sent to the application somehow, or I think it will not be the only one who will be running into this.
So you're saying we should approach the browser vendors who to expose that event, so you can write code around it. Yeah, I think, but I believe they have very good reasons not to. It might be security related or whatever. I think I read an article once from Google Chrome why they decided not to do it. So
then in that case, means the only option is that means timeout, but the timeouts are set to 15 minutes or something. Then
yeah,
I think
manage timeout. Yeah, manage the timeout. So some companies go for a very very fast timeout. So let's say 15 minutes. So, but then of course, if you have a very fast timeout, you also must manage the sessions who need to stay alive. Of course, Siebel has a setting for that. The heartbeat events and methods that you can register in the AI. So, but of course, if you have set it to 15 minutes, you will have a lot of users who are just frustrated because they come back from a break and Siebel is closed and they have to log in again. So, of course, with single sign-on, it gets easier. So yeah, session timeout management is one way of handling this kind of problem. At that specific project, I actually created a big button. Kid you not, a big X button in Siebel, easy enough, and that calls the log off method. And the users were starting to confuse it with the browser close button. So we're confusing them on purpose. So we're presenting them a bigger button, and they usually click the bigger button, and that worked. Like 50% of users started using that button. That was actually a fun experiment. Yeah, Florian has put in the chat, where is the difference between closing the tab and losing internet connection? So Florian believes the timeout setting is the most proven way. Yeah, it indeed is, but I'm not sure about losing internet connection.
Well, same thing in the sense the user hasn't closed the browser. It's still open, but they no longer are connected because they have no internet.
And then
Or
the
no.
AI will time out at one point.
Right. I'm saying that. So I think that's an example of, even if we did have a browser event we could capture, it wouldn't be useful if you just lose connectivity.
Yeah.
It's there's just no way to cover every scenario that I can think of.
Yeah, but it's an unsolved problem.
Unless, well, the only thing I maybe think of is, and I don't know if this is realistic, but just, is to have some sort of heartbeat, such that if, you don't, that there's constantly some I mean, it would build network traffic, affect performance,
yes.
but you could have a heartbeat type of approach. And then the server, if it loses the heartbeat, could just close the session.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the only thing I think of, but I have no idea what the performance and other impact of that would be.
Yeah. If you scale that up to thousands of users and
right. Yeah. It becomes a little
even we do it every 5 seconds or so, or every 1 minute.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting at. You'd have to have that, but that's a ton of traffic.
Yeah. Okay, but interesting. Yes. So interesting approach. And again, these are just those, let's say, the think tank that we are here in the Siebel Friday, those hundreds of years of Siebel experience might have at least a creative idea how to tackle it. Or, speaking of the second problem, I introduced the CFG merge, that Oracle is actually actively working on that. Thanks, Carrie, for confirming that, and it's very, very much appreciated that. Carrie and Brian and everybody from Oracle who joins these Siebel Fridays is so open and candid in sharing the information. Much appreciated.